Hello and welcome to the first episode of It's a Hofer Thing. In this series of videos, I'm going to show you how to build and maintain a Yokomo Touring OF1 car properly. And I hope you take away one or two things and get better in maintaining your car and achieve your own 5Ps. But for tonight, I'm going to show you how I do it, and we're going to start off with building a BD7 front end, like plastic part. First up, a tool you might not have, but you should get one if you can. This is a 2mm driver, and if you look, I don't think you see, but there's a thread cutter on it. It's a 3mm thread pre-taped on the screwdriver. And what you can do with it is make sure you're always holding the kingpin straight. Like you just enter it into the steering hub like so, and then just spin it, and you'll cut the 3mm thread, which is totally straight. And do it on the other side as well, like that. And on the second steering hub also, where I've done it already. So you basically get the kingpins in straight every single time, which just happens to make the caster more precise. Next up, drive shaft slop. A thing that most people don't really care about, but you should. You really should. Just put drive shaft in, bearings in, with the hex. And then you see, I don't know, I hope you see, there's like a bit of slop there. I usually just like to get rid of that, or not totally, but as good as I can. So I use a 5mm washer, just pop it on like that. Check again. That was 0.1 and pretty much perfect, so I'll leave it with that. I use a thumb nut from the setup system. Just lock it all down, check for slop again, and then tighten it up. Same for the other steering hub, so you've got them all prepared. Okay, so now your drive shafts are slop free, or almost, like they're meant to be. And you've put in a bump steer board stud, and you've decided on which one to use, because you could either use the standard kit one, or if you go carpet racing, you might just want to use a SHS board stud, which is 1.5mm shorter, and actually brings up the bump steer link point by 1.5mm. That makes the car a bit easier to drive, carry more corner speed, but it'll have more front body roll. So it's worth considering. Really good on carpet. But since this is gonna be run on tarmac, it just stuck with a standard board stud and a 1mm washer. Next up, standard wishbone. You don't really have to tighten it down, just look against the light, have the screw just barely touch the plastic, just like so, and then check for the slop. Yeah, you want to check this play in that direction. So there's still like 0.5mm of give, so just start tightening down both screws simultaneously. So what you want to do is, that's still a bit tight, like it'll still be sticky. That's still too much. What you want to have is almost no play, but it'll fall on its own weight. That's like where you want to be with those sway bindings. Same for the other side. As I do this, here's another tip. If you want to be able to take those off the sway bars in the front, you should cut the sway bar wire before you put it into the car, and take 3.5mm off the ends of the sway bar wire, because that's normally how much they stick out if you have the link straight upwards. So if you cut 3.5mm off, it'll be very easy to set up, because all you have to do is have the end of the sway bar aligned with the end of the ball and you're set. However, since they're shorter than compared to standard ones, you can just undo the grab screw, take it off and set the sway bar. Makes working on it a lot easier, so that'll help. And you can do the same too for the rear one, but you have to cut the rear one by 5mm because that one's even longer. So once the sway bar links are in and they're set nicely, I like to put the droop grab screws in. I happen to use titanium ones from Moody Foods. They're awesome, and since this is all unsprung weight, titanium just helps a little bit. I usually don't set them to any real distance, just put them in and do the setup in the car once everything is installed and finished. So, and now onto the setups. This is the biggest point and the biggest performance letdown really, because if you just take them and put them together like so, it'll not fall under its own weight. Like, this is what a lot of people just used, and you really shouldn't. So what you should do is get a small file, like any file will do. Just take some off the whole area around here. Just take some material off. Should be around 0.1 to 0.15 or millimeter. Mostly it's just molding excess really, so that was good. You can check if you've already taken off enough by just putting it in and see if it moves about the wishbone freely. If it does, you're almost there. So check again. There you go. That's fine. Okay, and the other one? Yeah. Like you'll even see where you have to take off some material, because there's like not really a clean contact surface. But once you've made that one, it'll be fine. Just make sure to not take too much off, because if you do, it'll get sloppy quickly. So better check 2 or 3 times when taking off material, so they're just there that it's right, but not too much. It's a bit more. There you go. Okay, so now to the next step that might have people not have a good car is actually putting these in. Just here's one thing I like to do. I like to use, I'll show you like this. I like to use these washers, which are used on top of the steering hub with the ball stud, to also use them on the bottom, and you just have to use a 3x8mm screw with them, and it makes your life so much easier because you've already pre-tapped the 3mm thread in there. So if you use an M3 screw, you just go in pretty easily. I like to turn the screwdriver back until I feel the screw click into the thread I've cut in there, and once it did click in, you just screw it all the way in, and you're done. And even with only this screw, you can already over tighten it so that it doesn't move freely, as you see here. That shouldn't happen. So just undo it slightly until it moves freely. And you do the same for the other side. Turn it backwards until you feel the thread clicking, and then just screw it in. It's just a very slight click because you don't really pre-tap it all that much, since it's still plastic, it's still a soft material, but you can just about notice it. And make sure that that part is moving freely already. And if you look closely now, you'll see a small gap on the top between the steering hub and the C hub. And what I like to do is I use 5mm washers, the same ones you used for drive shafts. These are 0.05s, and just put them in between there to make sure there really is a flat contact surface and the gap is closed. Always use a 1mm spacer on top, like 100% of times, barely ever use anything else. Also rotate backwards until you feel the thread click, and then just screw it in. And what happens now, if you tighten it all the way, it'll not move freely at all, like so. So you undo it again until it's just free. And that's where it really has to fall under its own weight, the steering hub. If it doesn't, it's still too tight, so just undo it slightly until it's really free. Same on the other side, just put a washer in, a kinking spacer, and the ball stud. There you go. And check for play. And if you've done that, you're basically good to go. So you've made it to the end of this video and did the first step into building a proper racing car. I hope you learned one or two things, and feel free to comment down below. Help me make the next video better. Like the page, and see you with the next one.